We have a lot to talk about today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. The 2020 MK5 Toyota Supra is, well, it's kind of sort of sold. It's actually broken right now. Naturally, we try to sell it and it breaks. It's off at makes and models, but it is sold. It's pending sold. The Ford GT, we got a deposit down on that, so it's being sold as well. The Focus RS has not been sold. We have not gotten a deposit down. It is not being sold, but it's going to be sold. The Aventador has not sold, and that's because we're not selling it, but we are unwrapping it. Yes, you saw the title. We're unwrapping it. I wasn't expecting it to be this windy today. It's also not very hot today. We need a lot of heat. We need a lot of sunshine. Obviously, we have like these weird wispy clouds. We are gonna unwrap the Aventador today, but it'd be great if the wind went away. I should have paid better attention to the weather forecast. Unfortunately, we got a lot of wind this afternoon, a lot of clouds later in the day. Direct sunshine, not until tomorrow. It's exponentially easier to unwrap a car in direct sunlight. The vinyl heats up, it peels right off. The inverse effect is you peel the vinyl off and it peels the paint off as well. Unexpected sequence. It is so loud! I haven't started for like 2 weeks ago. That is a proper FI exhaust. Oh, I love this car. I'm never selling the Aventador. We might sell the GT, we might sell the Supra. We're never selling the Aventador. The tentative plan is to leave the Aventador outside for a couple hours, let it bake under the Utah sun, heat up that vinyl so we can peel it off. The problem, there's no Utah sun. I am less than optimistic. My optimism level is very, very low. We're just gonna leave the car out for 2 hours, see what happens. I don't think we're gonna unwrap it unless, yeah. I don't know how to really say this. We got bad news. The sun is, the weather just is not cooperating, so next video, maybe? I don't know. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to unwrap the Aventador today given the weather circumstances, but with the new news that yes, my Ford GT and my Toyota Supra are currently under contract, it's time to formally announce that yes, I am buying a hypercar. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, cash has not traded hands on either cars. Both deals could fall through. One deal could materialize, the other might not. I have deposits down on both cars, but it's not a done deal until it's a done deal. But effectively, it is a done deal, and so the search has begun. There's about 10 to 13 supercars and hypercars that I'm looking at. Murcielago Super Veloce, that's more like a supercar, whereas like a Bugatti Chiron, this is a proper hypercar. I am not looking at a Bugatti Chiron because I cannot afford it. These are like $3 to $5 million, completely out of the realm of possibility for me, but the predecessor to the Chiron, the Veyron, that is right around $1 million, and that is a proper hypercar. So there's all sorts of cars that I'm looking at. I want to sit down, I want to discuss each car that I'm considering. I'd love to get your guys' opinions. The LaFerrari is not a consideration, just like the Chiron. I know, I'm dumb. I realize this scene's transition. I cranked my neck really hard right there. The LaFerrari is not in the budget, but an F12 TDF, a 599 GTO, the new SF90 Stradale, all three of those cars are considerations. What about a second gen Ford GT? These cars are trading for right around $1 million. Is a Ford GT $1 million car? I don't know, it's a cool car, don't get me wrong. It's a cool car, it's a consideration. What do you guys think? Okay, so I truly am unsure of which car I'm gonna buy. I've taken a list of about 50 cars, I've narrowed it down to the final 11, and I really do value your guys' opinions because each car has some pros, each car has some cons. Obviously, each car has a budget as well. I have a budget. There's a lot of cars that I can't afford, like a Veneno Roadster, which I wish that I was considering, but I'm obviously not. So I've gone through my archives, I've gone through my external hard drives, I found 11 individual clips of the 11 individual cars that I'm considering. These are the final 11. Someday, one day, Porsche Carrera GT has to be added to the collection. The squad, the Koenigsegg squad, the Ghost Squadron, and the Wider BC. I don't think there has ever been a greater moment in my entire life. I have one goal in life, not really one goal, but one of my main goals in life is to own a Koenigsegg someday. I cannot thank Mike enough for letting me drive his car. I need a Venom GT. This is the sickest car in the world. It's a 6-speed manual transmission that can do 270 miles an hour. Yo, that thing looks so good. Are you kidding me? If there's any Ford executives watching today's video, why? Hold on, boys. Oh, jeez! If you have a Tesla, I suggest selling it and getting a 918 Spider. Murcielago coming to the squad soon. Fortunately, the P1 is not sticking around today, but that car looks so sick. A Utah plated P1. That Koenigsegg clip just gave me the chills. I kind of sort of snaked you guys. There's only 10 cars I'm considering. I can't afford a Koenigsegg. They're upwards of $2 million. As much as I would love an Agera R, the time is not now, hopefully later. So sorry. I mean, it's not that I can't afford it. There's three main factors that will determine which car you end up buying. Most importantly, the price, the purchase price, obviously. Lexus LFA, that's at the bottom end of the range, $400,000, $600,000. P1 918, upwards of $1.3 million. That spread is almost $1 million between the bottom end car and the top end car. So I have a lot more financial flexibility if I buy a car like an LFA. If I break the bank, if I buy a 918 Spider, I'm financially strapped for a long time. Like, there's not gonna be a lot of other exciting things going on in my life. So the number one factor, obviously, is purchase price. Now, the second major consideration is maintenance. If I buy a car like a Ford GT, more than likely it's gonna be under warranty. If I blow the transmission, I call a flatbed truck, I trailer it 5 miles to the Ford dealership, they fix it under warranty, I'm good to go. If I buy a Bugatti Veyron and I blow the transmission, first and foremost, this could be a surprise to you guys. Most of you probably know this. There's not a Bugatti dealer in Salt Lake City, Utah. There's not a Bugatti dealer within 500 miles of Salt Lake City, Utah. If I blow the transmission, it's not under warranty, and it's probably $100,000+. The third consideration, and maybe the most important, maybe not, I'm not really sure, is the valuation over time. We're talking appreciation versus depreciation. The Ford GT is a great example. This car is currently on AutoTrader for sale for right around $1 million to $1.1 million. The Bugatti Veyron, the legendary Veyron, is also for sale for right around $1 million to $1.2 million. There is no way in 10 years that a Ford GT is going to be worth the same as a Bugatti Veyron. This car is hype. A bunch of people, just like me, got rejected for the Ford GT. These guys have more money than they know what to do with. They're going to go buy a Ford GT and overpay for it. But in 5 to 10 years, the market's going to be flooded and the value is going to drop. These cars will be worth $600,000, $700,000. Whereas the Veyron, that car is only going up in value. But like I said earlier, you blow the trans on a Veyron, you're kind of sort of screwed. You're not screwed, well, you're pretty much screwed. Ford GT, you're under warranty, you're kind of sort of okay. We're first going to start off with the Porsche Carrera GT. Back in 2005, this car brand new was $440,000. There's only 4 of them for sale on AutoTrader. They range from $699 upwards of $975,000. So Porsches obviously are great collector's cars. 6-speed manual transmission, V10. You guys know the history of the CGT. It's a very, very famous car. It's only going to continue to go up in value. This 975 car, it has 338 miles on it. Come on, bro. Like 15 years, 338 miles, where this silver car, $699, 7,000 miles on it. What do you guys think? Porsche Carrera GT. Now we're moving on to the Lexus LFA. Lexus only built 500 of these worldwide, one of the best sounding V10 cars in the entire world. It's really the only proper Japanese supercar hypercar. If you own an Acura NSX, don't be offended, but the LFA is a different stratosphere. You have to admit, it just is. There's only 5 of them for sale on AutoTrader. They range from $450,000 upwards to $600,000. I'm telling you guys, the LFA is one of the best investment grade supercars. It's gonna be worth $1 million someday. It's just hard to determine when. What do you guys think? Should I buy an LFA? Moving on to the Aventador SVJ. Look at this blue Cephas one, $613,000. But if we scroll down this yellow one, 350 miles on it, $499. The problem with the SVJ, they built way too many of them. 900 coupes, 800 roadsters. This car is only gonna drop in value. Give it 5 years, you'll find them for sub $300,000. But then I see this green one right here and I think to myself, maybe I don't care. Look at that thing. Are you kidding me? Moving on to one of my all-time favorite cars, the Mercy SV. Lamborghini only built 186 of these. They were gonna build 350 of them. The economic collapse of 2008, they canceled production to start Aventador production. Now to put it into perspective, the Aventador SV, they built 1,100. The SVJ 1,700. The Mercy SV, 186. Now this car is the only one for sale on Auto Trader. Contact dealer for price. I reached out to Pagani Beverly Hills, $599,000 for the Mercy SV. This is $1 million car someday. 2 weeks ago, I drove a McLaren Senna, one of the coolest cars in the entire world. McLarens make the fastest cars, and the Senna's like the fastest of the fastest. They only built 500 worldwide, but there is 19 for sale on Auto Trader in the United States alone right now. That number is astronomical. For there to be 19 US spec Sennas for sale already, that is not a very good sign of times to come. We all know that McLarens are notorious depreciation machines. You can pick up a used 650S for like $125,000. Brand new, that car was like $330,000. So the Senna is one of the coolest cars in the world. There's 19 of them for sale. The cheapest one on Auto Trader is $845,000. I know a couple people who've reached out to me who offered Sennas to me under $800,000. 6 months ago, they were trading for like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 maybe. Besides the F1, the P1 is my favorite McLaren ever built. I mean, it is just so iconic. It is a proper successor to the legendary F1. This one has 176 miles on it, $1.6 million. In 5 years, they drove it 176 miles. Let that sink in. The one above it has 8,000 miles on it for $1.8 million. So you compare those prices, you compare those miles, you're confused, I'm confused. The P1, I think, is gonna beat the McLaren depreciation curve. I think it's an iconic car. I think it will always be worth a ton of money. The P1, the biggest concern would be the battery technology. What happens when you have to replace that? We're back in Porsche world with the 918 Spider. They only built 918 of these. It's the fastest production car, 0 to 60 miles per hour. It still holds that record 5 years after production. We have this white one for $1.8 million. It only has 70 miles on it. Like, come on, bro. 5 years, 70 miles, give me a break. There's only 10 of them for sale on Auto Trader. Highest mileage, 5,354 miles. The cheapest one is $1.3 million. 918 Spider. Earlier I misspoke. I said the Mercy SV was the rarest car I was looking at. They only built 13 Venom GTs, so obviously that was totally wrong. $1.25 million. There's only 13 of these in the entire world. This car could be like a diamond in the rough. This car could be worth a fortune someday, or it could also do the opposite. You just don't really know. The Hennessy brand has continued to grow. If the F5 does indeed hit 300 miles an hour, if it sets a production car record, the Venom GT will only be worth more. This car did 270 miles an hour in the past. It's also been for sale for forever here at Choice Auto Sales in Pennsylvania. The Venom GT, that car would be cool. This is the outlier. I don't know, guys. Like, maybe I should. I find this to be hilarious. I went to Choice Auto Sales website. They have Dodge Challengers, Ford F-250s, BMW 6 Series, some motorhome, and then they just have a random Venom GT for sale. Like, what in the world is going on? I'm pretty nervous to buy a hypercar. This is the biggest financial decision, the biggest financial risk of my entire life. I could hit the lottery, I could also sink and never recover from it. Okay, that was kind of sort of crazy. It's true though, like if I buy one of these cars and I blow up the transmission or I crash it, I put it into a wall, like it's kind of sort of scary when you think about it. Let me know, what car do you guys think I should get in the comments below, but as always, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did like Squad, be sure to smash that like button. But just like that, this vlog is over, and I'm out.